Hello and welcome to Planet 40k. Today we're going to get stuck into the Catacomb Command Barge datasheet from the current Necron Codex. So this unit was actually voted on in a poll in our Patreon service. So if you do want to check that out, there should be a link in the description where we've got early access videos, polls to future reviews, and you can also get your names in the credits. So this model is effectively an overlord sat on its chariot. It's a HQ option within the Codex, coming in at 9 power or 145 points base without any upgrades. So his stats are as follows: movement 12 inch, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 5, toughness 6, wounds 9, attacks 4, leadership 10 and a 3+ save. So it's an overlord stat line with a few extra bonuses there due to its flying chariot, so it's gaining a bit of movement, an extra point in toughness, and of course it's now 9 wounds. So in terms of keywords, the barge can go in any dynasty. It's got the quantum shielding keyword, it's a noble, which is needed for your command protocols. It can fly, so it's a nice little buff for charging flyers there. It's a vehicle and it's an overlord and it's a character. So as it is a character, it can be bodyguarded with the Lookout Sir rule as it's under 9 wounds. So moving straight into the abilities for the barge then. Command protocols, which is an army-wide buff which is selected in private pre-game for each battle round. And usually you need a noble on the table and need to be within 6 inches of any character to gain the effect. So he's going to be benefiting from this every round due to him being a noble and a character, and he's obviously going to be within 6 inches of himself. He's also got the explodes ability, which is when he's destroyed on a roll of a 6, he will explode and all units within 3 inches suffer a mortal wound. He's got living metal, which is a regain lost wound at the start of the turn, which is always nice on a vehicle or monster with a lot of wounds. He's got the hovering ability, which is not really an ability actually, it's more of a technicality for the game. So you can measure the distance for either the range attacks or for charging, and you do it from the base or the hull of the vehicle, whichever is closest. So in this case the hull is actually larger than the base, so you'll probably be measuring from the hull. Speaking of its base, he's on a 16mm base, which is quite large, so it will help for your aura buffs and whatnot, which we'll go over in a moment. If you compare this to a normal overlord, which is a little bit smaller because it's only on a 40mm base, you're going to be gaining a bigger radius for your aura bubbles, approximately gaining about 1 inch in radius, 360 right around the model. So aura buffs, he's got My Will Be Done, which gives core units within 9 inches a +1 to hit, whether it be for shooting or in combat. So really nice for your warriors, immortals and lich guard in particular there. He's got Relentless March, which is a 6 inch aura which adds 1 inch to movement for core units, so not bad. Then he's got the new Quantum Shielding, so this is a 5 invulnerable save. Unfortunately he's not got a 4+ phase shift to save like an overlord does, but Quantum Shielding also prevents any unmodified wound rolls of a 1, 2 or 3 going through, and is also toughness 6 anyway, so this weapon affects anything that is strength 7 and up, so they can't be wounded on 3s or 2s like normal. And they're the types of weapons that usually have big damage, like las cannons for example, so it's a massive help there. So the command barge comes stocked with a Gorse cannon and a Staff of Light for your overlord. So let's take a look at the cannon first. So for 5 points, it's a range 24 inch, heavy 3, strength 6, -3 AP and D3 damage. Not a bad weapon, will clear a few infantry models out for you. It's actually the same weapon as the Annihilation Barge, which we've done a previous review on. So it wasn't actually that great on the Annihilation Barge, but that's due to the Annihilation Barge actually being a heavy, whereas this is a HQ unit, so you don't expect it to be doing a lot of heavy work with the guns. You can switch the cannon out for a Tesla cannon. I don't recommend doing this as Tesla has been massively nerfed, but I'll go through the weapon anyway. So it's a range 30 inch, heavy 3, strength 6, no AP and 1 damage, and each time you score a 6 to hit, it's 2 additional hits. So the longer 30 inch range is obviously nice, but no AP and 1 damage is not that great at all. Unmodified 6s give him more hits, so you do have half a chance of scoring a 6 with your 3 shots, but the lack of AP and damage just makes it so poor, and like I said, the nerf to Tesla weapons this edition makes it quite a bad selection for the current meta. The Staff of Light on your overlord is both ranged and melee, so the range side is 18 inch range, assault 3, strength 5, -2 AP, single damage. So it's not crazy by any stretch, but it's still a nice steady gun for a HQ character with a -2 AP. So it will be hurting regular infantry, just like with the cannon, and you'll be hitting on 2s too, so you shouldn't be missing any more than 1 shot at most on average. The melee part of the profile is virtually the same stats, except for your overlord having 4 attacks rather than having 3 shots, and these are hitting on 2s as well, so it's a nice anti-infantry weapon all round. So you can upgrade the Staff of Light with a few different options however, so option 1 is the Hyperface Sword, option 2 is the Void Blade, option 3 is the War Scythe, so let's break those down a little bit. The Hyperphase Sword is strength +1, making it a strength 6, -3 AP and single damage. I personally wouldn't use this one as there's not much difference between the melee version of the Staff of Light and the Hyperphase Sword, and then also you're losing all the shooting capabilities of the Staff of Light too. It can be useful against tougher infantry factions such as Death Guard, as you'll still be wounded on 3s with the sword. The Void Blade is strength user, which is strength 5, -3 AP again and single damage, but each time the bearer fights you gain an additional attack. So again, not much difference here between the sword and the blade. I do prefer the Void Blade if I'm honest, just because of the extra attack, and you're most likely going to be going up against toughness 4 infantry anyway. So it's still going to be 3s to wounds. But again, you're losing your shooting capabilities from the Staff of Light. Then you've got the War Scythe for 5 points. So this is strength +2, making it strength 7, -4 AP and 2 damage. So now we're talking. So strength 7 will hurt pretty much anything except for your big tanks like Land Raiders and whatnot. -4 AP puts you on invuln saves, or 6+ saves at best. And 2 damage a pop will be slicing through Marines like butter. So if you do want to go melee with this, then this is your option. You can also take a Resurrection Orb for 30 points, so use this in the command phase for a unit within 6 inches. So you basically use reanimation protocols for all of the dead models within the unit. So say for example you've got a 20-man warrior blob and there's only one left standing, you pop the orb, you roll 19 dice and any rolls of a 5 or a 6 get guys back up again. So it's almost a must-have if you're going to be upgrading. You can actually take this further and upgrade it to an Orb of Eternity relic, which works the exact same, but instead of rolling 5s and 6s, it'll be 4s, 5s and 6s. So you've got half a chance of getting everyone back up. So insanely powerful, that one. So that's his data sheet. Let's move on to the Codex Synergies that can be used with your command barge. Firstly, looking at the stratagems within the book. So firstly, there's Rarefied Nobility. So for 1 CP, if your Catacomb Command Barge is not your Warlord, then you can basically give it a Warlord trait, as well as having one for your actual Warlord. Maybe if you're using a Silent King or a Pharaon unit, or even another Overlord unit that has the Warlord trait, then you can double up and have another one. Curse of the Pharaon for 1 CP lets you auto-explode when destroyed, rather than trying to roll a 6 on the d6 to explode in front of your opponent's faces, obviously giving out mortal wounds within 3 inches. Revenge of the Doomstalker for 2 CP, it does require a Doomstalker of course, so when you lose your command barge, pop this stratagem and you can instantly fire your Doomstalker's weapons at the enemy that destroyed your barge. Not only that, the Doomstalker is now +1 to hit against that particular unit, and as you know the Doomstalker has strength 10 weapons, so it can be brutal. Quantum Deflection for 1 CP turns your 5+ Quantum Shield and Invuln save into a 4+ save, so now you're quite similar to your Overlord on foot with the Phase Shifter. So moving into Dynasty specific rules then, Command Barge is quite multifunctional, so a lot of dynasties will aid it. So kicking us off with the Mefrit Dynasty code, giving a 3+ range to all your weapons, and an extra -1 AP modifier if you fire within half range. So not only good for the cannon, but it's also good for your Staff of Light too. The Novak code gives you a +1 to your charge roll, so if you do want to go slicing and dicing with the War Scythe, then this is a pretty good option. It also improves the AP of the melee weapons by 1 if you charged, were charged or heroically intervened, which may be good for your other weapons, not so much the War Scythe because it's already got a -4. The Novak stratagem is also quite useful, called Blood Rights, which grants you an additional attack for just 1 CP, bringing your attacks to 5. Then the Hilak code grants an objective secured, and as you're quite a resilient unit with living metal and whatnot, you're going to be quite hard to shift, so it could be handy. It also turns enemy -1 AP weapons into 0 AP weapons if you're within your deployment zone, which won't always be the case, but it could still be useful if you are. The Zwarkan code shrugs off mortal wounds on a 5+, so things like smite and whatnot, and also allows you to re-roll a single wound roll each phase. So that's going to be nice for your failed wound rolls for your War Scythe and benefits the cannon too in the shooting phase. Their stratagem is actually good as well, Empiric Damping for 1 CP, which basically gives you Deny the Witch on a 4+ to any enemy psychers within 18 inch. Then lastly the Sautak code. It isn't actually directly useful to your command barge, but their stratagem is. So the stratagem is Methodical Destruction for 2 CP, so when any Sautek unit shoots at units, then until the end of the phase, basically the entire army get a +1 to their hits rolls against that unit that you've targeted. And this isn't just core units either, so even your Doomsday Ark is getting a +1 to hit. So if you do go custom with your dynasties, again, most things are valid here due to your all-round play of the command barge, but from the Dynastic Traditions list, you've got Eternal Conquerors for objectives secured, you've got Superior Artisans for the reroll 1s to wound. Red Reeved is actually quite a good one for the War Scythe lists, as your strength 7 now wounds on 2s due to the toughness being lowered, and majority of infantry models are toughness 4, but just bear in mind that this will need to be used within a second unit for the -1 toughness, because it doesn't directly work with a vehicle. and obviously your command barge is a vehicle. So if you tag a unit with say some flayed ones or some lich guard or anything that's non-vehicle, then the toughness is still going to go down. Butchered gives you a +1 to your charge, which is also pretty handy, and Severed is also quite nice as it extends your command protocol aura from 6 inches to 9 inches, and being on that big base as well is going to give you extra anyway, so the radius is quite a lot. So then from the circumstances of the Awakening, Healthy Paranoia giving you a 3-inch extra range, Relentlessly Expansionist, which is something I prefer, gives you a 6-inch additional movement after deployment but before turn 1. Warrior Nobles, which is relevant for the video but I'd never use it. It basically allows nobles to reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound. So this is only going to affect a few models within your whole list, so it's not really worth taking. Okay, moving on to Warlord traits. We've actually done a Warlord trait video. I'll leave a little clicky in the right top corner of your screen. So I'd urge you to pause the video and click that video. Maybe save it to your watch list if you're not familiar with the traits. So out of the 6 generic traits, I think I like the look of the Thrall of the Silent King, which adds 3 inches to all of your barge's aura abilities to a max of 9 inch. And it also works with the My Will Be Done abilities too, turning this into a 12-inch range, which is huge. So planting this thing in the center of the board with that 12-inch bubble and then the 9-inch aura bubble, and again not forgetting that your model's base is 60mm. It's bigger than the standard infantry base, so it's going to be adding more radius there. As for the Dynastic Warlord traits, the Mephit Dynasty Warlord trait gives you Merciless Tyrant, which is a +1 to strength and +1 to attack. So now you're going to have strength 8 war scythes with 5 attacks. That's pretty nasty to say the least. The Saltac trait, Hyperlogical Strategist, lets you get refunds of CP spent on stratagems when you roll a 5+. So on a third of the time on average you're going to be getting CP back, which then gives you more things to spend it on later on. So moving into relics, again we've done another video with relics as well, so if you want to click the link above, we'll drop that there. The obvious one here is the Orb of Eternity, which replaces your Resurrection Orb. Instead of rolling 5s to reanimate all your dead guys, it's going to be on a 4+. You can only use this once per battle, just like the Resurrection Orb, but it's very strong, only for 30 points and a relic slot. Nanoscarab Casket gives your Living Metal ability an additional lost wound, so it's quite powerful on a 9 wounded model, getting 2 wounds back per turn. The Voltaic Staff replaces your Staff of Light and beefs it up massively, more shots, more strength, more damage. So if you plan on keeping that Staff of Light, it's not a bad option. The Void Reaper, which is a better war scythe with 3 damage and ignores feel no pain rolls. Here's an important one, in fact, the Septennial Weave. Do not take this on your command barge. It gives you +1 toughness and +1 wound. That looks really good on paper, but this now takes your character up to 10 wounds, so therefore it can be targeted and you cannot be using the Lookout Sir rule now because you've got 10 or more wounds, so don't take that. Take it on all your other HQs, but just not the command barge. So there's plenty more relics that are good options here. So drop your ideas and suggestions in the comments below. So overall, great unit, very versatile, very resilient, strong, has both ranged and melee weapons, great abilities. When you're comparing it to the standard Overlord on foot, you're talking about a rough difference of 50 points. So what does that 50 points actually buy you? So firstly, your movement doubles from 6 inch to 12 inch. You then gain fly as well. Your toughness goes up from toughness 5 to toughness 6. Your wounds goes up from 5 to 9. You gain quantum shielding, although you do get a slightly worse invuln save of a 5 rather than a 4. You got a bigger aura radius due to the larger base. You got the Gauss cannon weapon, which is not bad at strength 6. So all that for 50 points. I'd pay this every time. The movement alone is a huge factor, as you can now synergize with faster units. I mean, in some armies that I play, such as Tyranids, putting, say, wings on a Hive Tyrant can cost you 25 points alone. And then look at all the other buffs you're getting as well for 50 points. It's pretty big. Now, Overlords are not an auto-include. Not everyone is that fussed about command protocols. I mean, I'm personally not, but I know they can be strong if planned well. Some people prefer the Scorpec Lord and the Cryptex or a Royal Warden as the second HQ, so this makes them not an auto-include. The My Will Be Done rule is a huge buff for shooty warrior lists, with that +1 to hit. That's pretty insane on a 20-man warrior squad, firing their Strength 5 Reapers with 40 shots. One final noteworthy mention is it's a vehicle that doesn't degrade when damaged, which is a really nice buff there, as usually you lose a bit of ballistic skill, a bit of movement or whatnot. So looking at the rating then, we're going to be giving the Catacomb Command Barge a Planet 40k rating of 4.5 out of 5. So tell me what you think, guys. Do you agree with this rating? Let me know in the comments below. Do you field him? Do you prefer the Overlord on foot? Do you just not use an Overlord full stop? Remember to subscribe if you're new. We're doing reviews Monday to Friday. They come out at about 5:15 UK time. Check Check out our Patreon if you haven't already done so, where there's early access videos, there's polls for what reviews we're going to do next, and you'll also get your name in the credits as well. So check that out if you haven't already. We also have a YouTube members area, which you can click the join button if you're on a PC or Mac. If not, you'll find the link in the description, where it basically has the same thing as the Patreon does, but it's also got emojis and loyalty badges too. So anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.